All right, everybody, welcome back to the latest game in the Lakewood League of Legends tournament. I'm once again coming back to the casting desk. Once again, my name is Ian Cyrus Klepstone, and today I'm joined by...
Dylan Giudichesi.
And today we're going to have Team Brothers versus CU Academy as the start of the consolation bracket. Is that correct?
No, actually, this is the final qualifier for top four. So whoever wins this game makes top four and then move on to playoffs.
All right, so we're really getting the real cream of the crop out of today's batch then, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
And we're getting straight into ban phase, going through draft lull there. Team Brothers on the blue side banning out Camille to start off, followed by Aurelia and what looks to be Zach. Some pretty interesting bans so far. I don't know a whole lot about all these teams, so I assume we're mostly banning out things like comfort picks and particular strats that I assume teams have employed in the past.
Yeah, most likely.
So, kind of going into this a little bit blind, but we'll start to see more of what draft looks like, obviously, when the picks start to come out. Cast CP is going to be the latest ban. Looks like some pretty mid-focused bans coming out from Team Brothers, or from CU Academy, rather. Team Brothers hitting more of that top side of the map.
Whoa,
Although I just
Riven
get
ban.
corrected as Riven comes out in the last ban of round one for CU Academy.
Let's see what the first pick is.
Always that crucial one. A lot of options too. I'm
Yep.
more preferential to picking like something from my bot lane or my jungle first.
Yeah. We have been seeing a lot of Renata. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Renata pick here or something like that.
I mean, Renata's just crazy in general, and even then, Zeri first pick. I think that opens up some options for CU Academy. I think they can either answer by picking something like Smolder, something that scales pretty equally well into the late game.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And has just as much pop-off potential. Smolder, I'd also like to point out, would probably do rather well against Zeri. His movement speed doesn't matter when point-and-click abilities are a thing, but Ezreal Karma is going to be the answer.
Yeah, I guess they don't care about your expertise at all.
Well, I'm not the one behind the keyboard. I'm just a schmuck behind a microphone.
It will be interesting to see if CU does go for like a Vi maybe to try and lock down his area. We always see that a lot,
Absolutely. I do want to point out too that with Karma, at least in today's day and age, right? It's probably the support pick, but we could have it flexed mid.
It's possible.
I imagine it probably wouldn't be, given that Akali is gonna most likely be the mid lane play from Team Brothers. There's argument to have it flex top, but I think that's more of a matchup dependent kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's, again, a lot of options, but I think it's pretty bread and butter that we're gonna see it in the mid lane.
Yeah. Always a chance. I guess we'll kind of have to find out and see what they do with bans, really. But with Lulu's
Gonna round out that bot lane. Pretty standard combo. Zeri's got that hyper carry kind of mentality, and having an enchanter like Lulu, especially one that can do so much. You have options. The word of the day, really. You got Peel and Poke all in one bundle. Same thing goes for Seraphine, which is going to be a really interesting pick because we're looking at either Seraphine or Karma mid. I can't really say that there's likelihood for much else. Maybe a niche Karma top. But usually, especially if you're on red side, you're saving that counter pick for later. But with round two of bans, we're going to see Jace come out from CU Academy, so probably looking like a mid lane ban. Top ban is more than likely as well, is pretty likely as well. Zinzao being covered by Team Brothers right now, as CU still has yet to pick their jungler.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Team Brothers, their top laner played Jace last game, so I think that is a top-oriented ban.
I see.
Uzumaki does, from what I've seen, he likes to play a lot of carry tops. So chances are pretty good we could see like a Jax or something like that here too out of Team Brothers if CU Academy doesn't ban something like that. Or
I wouldn't be surprised seeing a carry top. I would just be kind of wary of it for Team Brothers, just
it's
because
a lot of damage,
they're already drafting so much, and they really need some sort of front line, something to help really round out the comp and beef it up a little bit.
Yeah, they lack a decent amount of utility. Lulu's basically the only one that they really have.
And as you were mentioning that Vi pick earlier, it's actually going to get banned as round two of picks comes out with CU Academy getting that first pick, so they will not be able to lock down that Zeri, at least with that particular pick.
And a Jax ban too. Jax ban too to take out Uzumaki's Jax.
Absolutely. It's going to help take some of that damage down. Jax is a pretty big menace, especially
Always.
after that rework.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that his ult actually does damage on cast, you can get some pretty surprising damage in burst initially off of that, and then just the stats and then the extra magic damage. It really is just such a pain.
He's basically just been like a pro play staple ever since that rework too, really.
Absolutely. We did see Sejuani get picked for the side of CU Academy. I did mention this earlier when I was on cast. I think Sejuani is a perfectly fine pick, don't get me wrong. I'm a little wary of it, though, just because with 3 range champions, you don't have any synergy for the
melees.
Sejuani E passive. And, look, right, like Sejuani's been super staple, engaged tank even since I've started playing the game, which is way back in Season 5. I'm sure there are plenty of people in here that have played much longer than I have, but, it's just kind of an odd one when you have that kind of a ranged comp and you're not really picking around it. Just makes pulling off ganks slightly more difficult, and I would like to argue that slightly more difficult can mean not at all in lots of scenarios.
I don't know if Set's too much of like a helper with that too. You guys, he gets got auto attack reset, but he's notoriously got some slow auto attack times.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one. I don't think Sedge really has to camp the Set. I think Set is her best chance of getting successful ganks off. But Yone and Akali, honestly, I couldn't tell you which is
either
going
could
top,
go
which is
either
going
way.
mid.
It should be really interesting to see.
Set, I would say, has a better time against Akali than Yone. I think Yone has slightly better trades because he can, he can play a little further back, go with Spirit Unbound, start with a W, kind of avoid some of Set's damage. And when Set's ready to launch a Haymaker, he just says, "Nope, bye," and he's just gone. He's halfway across the lane in a blink of an eye.
I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Akali top here, Yone mid, or I'm sorry, Yone top, Akali mid.
Even then, it fits into that carry top lane that you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah. A lot of damage on Team Brothers. Got a decent amount of scaling too with Zeri as well.
Absolutely. I do want to point out the Jarvan pick, though. Jarvan, pretty strong early game jungler. Flag and drag is always a great option for ganks, especially if you know how to pull off the flash tech with that one. Can really get some great extra range off of that. And Jarvan's going to do pretty well into CU Academy's comp for the most part. Jarvan typically gets picked, when there's low mobility on the enemy team because he has his Cataclysm that spawns the cage. And if you're playing against something like Sedge or Ezreal, they can just kind of hop out of it and not really have to worry about that. But if you catch something like Karma, Seraphine, even the Set, Set's going to have to try and burn ult to hop over the cage. He has to burn flash, 5-minute cooldown. Really, really crucial stuff to, try and play around there.
So I think it does look like Akali's going to be top.
Absolutely. It should be a pretty interesting matchup, all things considered. Honestly, really 100% hard on my sleeve. I'm a little worried for Seraphine against Yone. I think that Seraphine has to really play the matchup almost perfectly and can't misstep, especially with the pressure of Jarvan.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for CU's Academy's comp in general. I feel like they don't really have a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one. I think that if they can stave off Brothers in the early game...
they definitely scale like really well because Seraphine Karma's
absolutely
the healing and the ability to just stay on the map cannot be understated.
No, 100%. I really think that their toughest part of this game is going to be the first 15 minutes
for sure.
Making sure lanes are at a minimum stable, right? I can't say I'm super hopeful for a winning matchup, maybe in bot lane, just because Karma has some pretty heavy poke. But again, that all depends on when we throw in junglers and mid lane rooms in the mix. We're really thinking of anything, and it could go either way. I think that Brothers has a better chance of winning short term. I think that CU Academy has a better chance in the longer term, but I don't know by how much.
Yeah,
is really the thing. It's not like a Smolder comp that I casted earlier, where it was like 30+ minutes they are going to auto win the game.
Yeah. No, definitely. When it gets to like late game, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how CU Academy plays their team comp. I think Brothers is pretty much kind of straightforward. You see somebody, you kind of kill, you try to kill them.
Yeah, I do respect kind of the ooga booga mentality going into that one.
It's a classic.
Can even put it a little differently and say they have a bit more of an egocentric comp. With champs like Yone and Akali, you got that really high skill expression in terms of just timing your abilities and even the micro movements.
Yeah.
Zeri fits into that too, but I don't think Zeri's going to be more flashy until a couple items in. Kind of in that same way
three, 4 items.
Yeah, it's that usual like. Zeri could potentially look good throughout the game, but won't look great until later when we're really seeing like that massive, lightning storm come in with all the shocks reverberating throughout enemy teams and minion waves and all that fun stuff. But I'm curious to see what CU Academy really has planned here. I almost want to say that they're looking for more picks. I think they have a better way to make those and start fights, but they have to get their pick first and blow them up immediately.
For sure, yeah.
Which seems almost antithetical to their comp in a way,
yeah.
Because when your biggest source of burst damage is probably Ezreal WQR and maybe throw in a Karma Mantra Q, yeah. It's a bit of a head scratcher. I'm not gonna lie. I think they would maybe rely on some macro decisions to help close out the game.
Yeah.
I almost want to say a potential slow play into like securing Baron, but it's at this point I'm doing way too much speculating and not enough factual reporting.
On the bright side, they do have a ton of wave clear with Seraphine, Ezreal, Karma.
That's true.
They should be able to delay a game for a pretty long time.
Oh, and who knows if they don't particularly have a plan now, that does give them time to come up with one on the fly.
Yeah. Well, we're about 30 seconds out from game. I'm going to go ahead and have us take a look at... Oh, maybe not.
Not.
Oh. Think? Maybe?
We'll be showing up in there momentarily.
Oh.
Get a quick loading screen in with some summoners and rune choices.
Yeah. Right, gave me a big psych. Guess we're in game.
Alrighty. Giving a quick once over on those runes and summoner spells. Nothing really strikes me out of the ordinary except for one thing. Set has taken Grasp of the Undying, which by no means is terrible, but it's usually a conqueror angle in most matchups.
Yeah.
I can imagine that Grasp is going to do pretty well into Akali, given that she has the ability to harass Set from her Shroud. So if one auto's all you're going to get, then one auto's all you're going to get, and it'll be a Grasp proc. Starting items look pretty easy as well. Nothing super out of the ordinary. Junglers are both taking health potions. With this season, it's been kind of a toss-up as to whether or not you spend that extra 50 gold just to make sure you're healthy. I think that taking the potion is a decent enough choice, unless there's a specific strat that really relies on having the extra pocket change. I know there was a lot of talk about Kane clearing fast and with futures market and being able to buy like a Doran's or a longsword on back.
I think it kind of maybe depends on it, well, especially in like competitive. You could get away with it if you have strong enough lanes and your goal is to just farm.
Absolutely.
And you don't need to help out your lanes at all early. But nothing that like Sejuani couldn't get away with it here. I think Jarvan needs to be active early on the map as well, so he couldn't get away with it either.
Fairly simple starts too coming out from the junglers. I do want to point out that Sedge is going to be starting her red buff solo with a defensive ward on the blue, on the brothers side, on the brothers blue side. Excuse me. I also do want to mention that Akali has taken TP Ignite as opposed to taking Flash. Opens up more kill pressure. Closes off more kind of escape routes if need be. I think this is a really strong pick into something like Set. It's just something you really have to be careful about playing around later in the game, because again, we're talking increased kill pressure, but not as much room for mistakes if we're looking to get caught out.
This game's for all the marbles too, so I expect a lot of very safe laning.
Absolutely. I would hate to start memeing about this the way the LCS goes. Farm for 30 minutes, fight once, and go get Baron.
It could be it, man. In past tournaments, we've had a decent amount of games that have been like that.
Well, not always the most show-stoppingly crazy games, but still interesting games nonetheless because you do get to see how things play out longer term. You get to see where things like CS leads and macro lead to bigger map impacts overall. Like the game I casted earlier, there was so much fighting, it felt like I barely had time to get a point across before the next fight was breaking out. Still not a whole lot of action. It's looking like mostly just, early lanes getting prio. Can't say we're surprised that Karma gets priority in the lane, especially against another enchanter. She doesn't have to worry about getting hooked by like a Blitz or a Thresh or even a Nautilus. So it's just kind of free harass onto the enemy bot lane.
Oh.
It's going to be early level 3. Karma W is going to go down and get the root off on a Zeri. And Joe's going to get some good poke in. However, he's going to have to Arcane Shift away from some Lulu damage. That Pick's really putting it forth a lot of help.
Wow, yeah.
As some trading goes on in the top lane, Set kind of eating the brunt of that full trade. Not really going to do a whole lot with that other than pop his health potion. No sums used by anybody in either of those exchanges, though. So people really doing a good job holding on to those resources. Yone going to use that Spirit Unbound like I was talking about, but he took a tower shot. Kind of a curious one, that especially since he's not opting to use a health potion quite yet. I think it means that Besaid is going to have to play just a little bit safer. We don't want to get dinked by Sejuani and throw over first blood, but even then, top lane scrapping is a long-term plan, as it looks like Sejuani's going to get the first gank off into the bottom lane. Ignite's going to drop down on Lulu, and first blood goes to Karma. Sejuani almost taking a tower shot, maybe throwing a kill back over, but narrowly avoiding that window. Gank up in the top lane as well. Akali has the Shuriken flip, gets the E2 back onto the set. However, Haymaker's going to dissuade that, along with the added threat of the tower. Even then, I think if you're set, you're not exactly happy with where the wave is right now because you get harassed so hard if you try and walk up. But it does give you a good opportunity. Oh, Professor X-Man going to have a difficult time here. Akali could really look for this, but
she does have Knight.
Very conscious of the Haymaker.
Zed's going to lose some minions here. He's going to have to back, probably.
At this point, I'm surprised he just hasn't taken the L and back, gotten whatever he can and TP'd.
I'm almost actually surprised too that Akali doesn't just ignite him just to force it back, to make sure he doesn't, just make sure he loses minions.
Absolutely, especially when we're seeing something like this, right, where she can just start dropping kunai on him, just out of tower range, or really get that harass. I just don't really think it's the smartest play from Professor X-Man. And okay, you've gotten 6 and you're getting your back in now, but you're also very liable to eat some extra damage and potentially a dive. Looks like early game objectives are going to get handshaked, though.
That Infernal Drake's going to be big for CU Academy too. With their lack of damage, it means a lot for them.
Absolutely, squeezing. It's we're talking a game of dollars and dimes here, and every penny counts. You get that notification that grubs have gone down across the map, going over to Team Brothers, and we're still not seeing Set back. He's got the health regen from his passive, which is helping him a good chunk, and he's. I mean, in a 1 versus 1, I may speak too soon. Akali's looking for that potential dive, has the Shuriken flip in perfect execution. However, Showstopper and the Haymaker is going to go down, and the Ignite is going to tick, 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 but not quite do its job. Akali not able to get that last hit and getting just out of range for that tower shot.
That was a close one. I'm surprised Set actually didn't die there. I don't think Akali hit the second part of her hour, did she?
I think she did, but I think the Haymaker gave just enough shield to nullify most of it because neither top laner had backed up until that point. It's just such an odd thing. Top laners, they're interesting creatures. They'll back at odd times. They won't back sometimes ever. But we are going to see those first components come through. Set's going to be going for that Tiamat, I imagine, for Stridebreaker. Usually pretty solid first item on Set. I do like the pen boots on Akali, though, getting some of that extra movement. It does mean you have a little less damage in trades, but I think it allows for Akali to have slightly more margin for error because that extra move speed may just get you out of the true damage portion out of a Haymaker or out of a Face Breaker.
For sure.
Still just abuse in the top lane, though. I think Professor X-Man's playing a little far forward. Kali dropping the Shroud. Maybe looking for a kill here. Perfect Execution isn't quite up yet.
Sejuani's there to help
action
him,
in the bot lane.
Actually, she's level 6.
Pause momentarily.
Oh,
Sejuani ult goes
kinda
wide, trying to get anything we can
okay.
onto Uzumaki. However, the explosion from the ult sitting in the wall gets a little bit of extra damage, and Sejuani successfully corrals the ninja into the wall, into the explosion.
Ignite coming down.
For a nice kill. And it's going to be more action down in the bot lane as Zeri pops the
Oh.
ultimate. William tries to get the kill onto the Zeri. However, it's going to be a counter gank from it's going to be a gank really from Jarvan into the Cataclysm as Ezreal is forced to flash out, dropping the exhaust, trying to do it again. However, Flag and Drag is going to hit him, knock him up, and put him 6 feet under.
Oh no, she stepped in the tower range right as soon as Ezreal took damage from the W.
I mean, you get your one, right?
Yeah.
You get your one. It's still not a pretty look if you're CU Academy in the bot lane. Your Karma's 2 kills up and your Ezreal's got 2 assists, so it really brings into question who's playing what role here. You know, not the favorite allocation of gold, but I guess we're still at a point where money's money.
Yeah. We are still, I mean, Ezreal's still waiting on, you know, just gold in general so he can have any real damage from items, but it's definitely a karma lane, I think.
Absolutely. it's a karma lane for sure. Mid lane's been surprisingly uneventful. I think that Clovey and Besaid have been trading with each other. I think about it.
Yeah, I think both of them have been actually just kind of content to just like pushing waves or just clearing waves. Yon will push, Seraphine will clear, Yon will push, Seraphine will clear. Not really a lot happens.
It's really bringing the ebb and flow. Oh,
Ezreal.
Summer Spell heal as well as the True Shot Barrage going out onto the Lulu. Bringing pretty low, but not low enough to secure that kill. Lulu will have to back here, and it looks like bottom for the side of CU Academy. We'll have the opportunity to get some tower plates.
Yeah, they get some nice plates, get some gold for themselves. Ezreal can finally get some money.
Definitely nice to get the extra cash in the bank. It's payday for CU Academy, and they're going to reap some of that benefit pretty nicely.
Another plate over to them, very nice.
Splitting those plates isn't necessarily your favorite thing to do, but you know, it all depends really on how your bot lane dynamic works.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen people who are religiously will split tower plates or, you know, do the exact opposite. Sejuani may be looking for a bit of action on Jarvan here. Did use the Q to engage. Smites one of those grubs away. As Set takes more bullying really in the top lane. I mean, I'm surprised that it's been going as well as it has for him, but he's been playing it really well, if just slightly on the edge.
Oof. Just continues to just get poked down.
Rough out here. Besaid taking a harsh trade of his own. You know, going back for those Berserker boots is pretty standard on any of the Wind boys, the Wind brothers.
Yep, full build from one item.
But you know, you can't really do a whole lot when you're still getting hit by Seraphine spells. It's you know, gotta make use of your shoes. Gotta put on the happy feet.
Your shoes?
Got the Nikes on.
Oh, the Nikes. The Air Jordans.
Finally see some of that top lane harassment paying off. Professor X-Man had to take it back and loses out consequently on some CS, as well as almost 2 plates. Looks like that second one will go down from Void Grub's AO, or damage over time, and First Dragon will go down for Brothers as well. J4 getting some help from the Yone there, sacrificing a little bit of that CS, but you know, when we're really talking dollars and dimes, right? You know, Dragon gives everybody a little bit of an asset in the back.
Yeah.
I don't have a proper term for that one. But I think we are going to see just how these small leads start to make a difference. I imagine we're looking pretty even in gold right now across the board. Yeah, you know, nobody's standing out as being too rich or too poor, but that might change as we have a fight going on in the top lane. Professor X-Man trying to do what he can. Haymaker's going to go down. Perfect execution is executed perfectly, and Akali's going to get a solo kill.
Solo bolo.
And that's going to be a really big point of concern for CU Academy. You know, your top laner getting solo killed being put further behind, never a good thing, to state the obvious. But having an Akali who can jump in the middle of your team, drop Shroud, and then one-shot your AD carry, and then dive, and then get back out almost scot-free in some scenarios, really, really miserable.
I mean, on the one hand, it's definitely it's not helpful, but on the other hand, CU Academy's team is kind of built to negate, dive with Seraphine Karma. So you would hope, with their comp, that Akali even getting a kill is not too bad for them.
Yeah, it's gonna be more of a team effort in terms of execution later on. Team efforts and execution. Zeri's taking some pretty heavy damage. Monster Q going even harder. True Shot Barrage going to swing a little wide. Not even clip the minion wave oncoming from the back.
Jarvan's here though. Here comes Jarvan for a gank.
Flash flag and drag forward. It's going to be a flash from Ezreal right away. Karma's probably just going to be left to die. William trying to get a root
flash
off.
still.
However, it's going to be a flash and Cataclysm comes out from Jarvan. Easy trades of summoner spells there. Teleport, though, being used from Professor X-Man. It's a late teleport, to say the least. And he's going to have to run back into the lane, maybe looking for a bit of a facebreaker on a Lulu. However, Polymorph is going to turn him into a harmless little seal as a flash forward, and the Haymaker doesn't quite do enough damage. Ezreal doing what he can for the backlines. It's now Sejuani's turn to join the fray. It's going to be an ult from Sejuani stunning up Jarvan. However, huge flash from Lulu is going to save Jarvan, but not quite enough as the shutdown goes forward from Ezreal. Uzumaki this turn joining the fray. It's a 1-by-1 as Yone makes his appearance. Fate sealed is going to seal Sejuani's fate as it's just kill after kill after kill. Brothers picking up most of them.
It's just flip-flopping on either side. It looked like Brothers had it at start, and then it looked like CU Academy had a nice little chance to turn it, but then it looked like Brothers had it again, and then it looked like CU Academy again, but then Yone came in and just sealed the deal.
I'd like to say it was a back and forth, but really at the end of the day, Brothers came out on top there. Akali getting kills, Jarvan getting kills. There was a shutdown given away from the Jarvan, but when you're saying, hey, yeah, the one guy we lost was worth like one and maybe a half of yours. We still come out on top financially, and our solo laners have leads and signs of stability, at least in the case of Yone, right? He's down a little bit of CS, but he's got his first item. He's got that Blade of the Ruined King. Basically makes him an unfair champion at this point. Akali going that Lich Bane first should be able to help take down that tower, get some extra poke damage on a set. I don't think Professor X-Man is really going to be allowed to play the game at this point.
No, Akali's so far ahead at this point. I think it's going to be very, very, very difficult for Set to do anything. Should probably be seeing a turret here fall sometime soon, I would think.
100%. It's such an unfortunate situation. You're already at least a full level down.
So much movement speed on her, too.
And eating a Lich Bane passive would just be, nightmarish. Some potential posturing bottom side with Dragon coming up soon, but it looks like J4 is going to be more focused on, I believe it's Wave 2 of Grubs.
I think so.
No, Rift Herald is up. So it is going to help secure those towers. Professor X-Man going to use a fully charged Haymaker to clear that wave, do what he can there. Grubbling is going to do what it can, and it's just...
it's just not fair.
Shuriken flip into Ignite, and you don't even need your R. Your R is being used for a wave clear. You just... Set is done this game. There's almost nothing he's going to be able to do here. Rift Herald's going to go down for Brothers. And I imagine Jarvan will try and look for a bottom play with this, especially as both he and Sejuani are so close to finishing their jungle items respectively.
Yeah, it could be. We could just also see Rift Herald mid just so they can try and get Drake.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely give the priority needed. But I think it's going to be more interesting if we see another scuffle bot lane.
We can hope, right?
Give me another 1-by-1. Give me the tongue twisters.
This is for all the marbles people. Come on,
Absolutely.
you gotta...
Go big or go home. I do want to point out, by the way, that Besaid really showing off the Blade of the Ruined King there. Most of the damage he took from that trade was in tower shots. I think he took 2. But Blade of the Ruined King really just does so much work, especially so early and against somebody with no resistances. The slow that they added onto it that isn't just, your 3-hit or your active, just goes super crazy. However, it's going to be more ganks, counter ganks in the bottom lane as the teleport comes in as well. J4 cataclysming 2, getting 2 stuck up in the baby cage as Yone gets the spirit unbound, gets a tag onto one and a kill onto another. It's a double for Zeri, looking like 3. Set in a little bit of trouble himself in the top lane, taking way too much damage, way too fast. Showstopper is going to be it for him as his lights go out. Rift Herald's going to get dropped in the bot lane, going for that second tower for Brothers as the second dragon goes down, also going for Brothers.
Yeah, it's just domination on every side of the map apart from mid, really. But even then, Yone has just been everywhere that Seraphine hasn't been.
It doesn't need to be a mid diff to be a mid diff, if it makes any sense. You got the roam timers. You're finally giving up a wave or two. You're close enough in CS anyway, and it looks like we're gonna get Lulu taxiing Rift Herald into the mid lane after getting that first bot lane tower, getting some free, not really free, but some bonus damage onto the mid lane tower, starting to soften it up a little bit, prep it for later. Ollie finally getting a chance to take a breather. I imagine lots of money to spend there. I'm sure we'll see the Shadow Flame come out next, would be my guess. Get some more penetration as well as that spell crit for the execution. Really just looking great for the side of Brothers. They've got their carries on 2 items already. The furthest that anyone, well, actually, cheap AP items and AD items aside, CS is doing a lot of work for CU Academy. They have both their mid laner and the AD carry on 2 items each. Free boots helps with that, of course. You get it translates essentially to a free 300 gold. It means you're moving a little slow early on, but when you do get them, you move a little bit faster and you get them for free.
Yeah.
Seraphs and Muramana also pretty close to being stacked. We should see those fully stacked anytime in the next even 30 seconds for each member. At the moment, with no objectives really up on the map, looks like there's just a lot of posturing kind of going on. Oh, Clove taking a bit of damage.
Yeah, I don't think
Flash as well.
I don't think either team really wants to fight it all here. I mean, maybe Brothers can look for something mid, if anything. But apart from that, I think most teams are each team is just content to try and wait for Baron, Drake, etc., etc.
It's almost like they're playing a game of chicken, really. As we see the junglers posturing around, no neutral objectives means they can kind of look for a misstep. And the other members of each team are just kind of playing, oh, I'm gonna get you. Oh, maybe not. Oh, maybe not. It's lots of yeses and nos going on all at once. But Baron is going to spawn. It is past 20 minutes, so it's going to be the start of that crucial objective to keep an eye on basically at all times. And Sejuani is going to have a bit of a hard time on her own getting this blue buff secured. When you're a level 11 jungler going up against a solo laner who's 3 levels against you, you look at them wrong and they'll just rearrange your whole world.
Especially if they're Yono or Kali.
100%. I'm interested to see what some of the angles being considered are here from CU Academy. It's just going to be constant pressure from Akali up in the top lane. And honestly, I think it might be worth a Hail Mary play just to try and get that shutdown.
I agree.
If anything, so you can try and get it on Ezreal or Seraphine. That money would be worth so much in the grand scheme of things, and Set just cannot do a whole lot on his own unless Uzumaki makes repeated mistakes like that and takes too many tower shots. But even then, right, one bad trade and it's just like, whoa, okay, all right, I'll be back, and then I'm gonna kick your ass some more.
Yeah, 3 levels up is gonna be really hard.
Seems like just pretty standard Baronless 1-3-1 behavior right now. You got your solo laners splitting in side lanes, jungler kind of roaming in between, maybe looking for any potential missteps. And your bot lane just soaks up all of that mid XP and all that mid gold. If I'm not mistaken, mid minions are worth slightly more, are they not?
I think so, in terms of like XP rise, right? Or no, top's worth the most, I think, actually, aren't they?
I think so. I'd have to check on that a little bit later, but typically having your AD carry soak up all that mid lane experience and money is the play. It also allows you to have more flexibility in terms of where you can rotate across the map. What I'd kind of like to see here from CU Academy is a little bit more investment in their vision game. The vision scores are looking pretty dismal. Ezreal is still sitting on a single-digit vision score, and Seraphine, even though the Farsight lens is a thing, is only sitting about 12 with, supports right, they're almost always going to have the highest vision scores, but
yeah.
Just, it's so disproportionate in this game that I feel like, regaining at least a sense of control anywhere would help if you tried to at least clear some vision. Obviously, there are risks that run with that where you'll be seeing potential punishments if you get caught out. But at that point, you just kind of ball up as much as you can and, as a team and clear what you can get. I've mentioned it plenty of times before, right? We're in a game of dollars and dimes. Every little bit is going to count here, especially for CU Academy, since their game plan doesn't look quite as solid as Brothers, and Brothers so far is executing extremely well.
Yeah, well, at least Seraphina and Ezreal have switched over to Farsight, to Blue Trinket now. So they should get a little bit more vision, especially in those areas where they're going to have to face check because they're not really going to have any control over Baron.
Oh, Set might be looking for an angle on your Akali here. Shroud has been dropped as it looks like the Goon Squad is here to make a play happen. However, Perk's execution is going to go out.
Ooh.
And even though the damage is massive, the death is even bigger. 950 gold going over to Ezreal. A massive chunk of change into the pocket for CU Academy and on the person you want to go on as well.
Yes, sir. Ezreal's sitting pretty now.
Trade for that, though, is going to be Cloud Dragon, as it is also our Rift for the game, so we are going to have those movement speed zones around those buffs. Usually doesn't have a super huge impact. I do like Cloud Soul for that reason. It's a minor effect, but it's still very noticeable. Samwise going to have to be a little bit careful here, but with Lulu back up, Professor X-Man is not going to be in a position to do much of anything. Flash is still up, Haymaker's going to go out, but Polymorph and a little bit extra shocks from Samwise, and it'll be a rampage across the screen.
We could look at a potential Baron threat in here too.
I think it's possible, for sure. Yone does have TP, Clove does as well. However, Clove is looking a little rough around the edges health-wise. Yone getting some pretty positive trades off there. I just think that if you're on the side of either team, really, I almost wouldn't start Baron until we've caught the enemy team's jungler, because both Sedge and Jarvan have such great chances to make steals happen. It's not like you're sitting up against something that's going to be helpless in any play. I mean, both of them have enough beefcake stats to make it into the pit and survive long enough to at least drop a smite.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think. I mean, there's no way that CU Academy is going to be able to really start a Baron here, not unless they ace Brothers. But I do actually think Brothers almost might want to start a Baron, because I think they just want to look for fights. I mean, they're so far ahead at this point. They've got a 5K. Just a little over a 5K gold lead. Akali can just wreak all the havoc she wants on the backline. That I think it's just almost in their best interest to just look for fights and start fights.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna play kind of the Ooga Booga comp like I was talking about earlier, wouldn't hurt to maybe go a little Ooga Booga. You've got these aggressive champions. And to some of the credit, right? Like we've seen Besaid have really positive trades against Seraphine where Flash has been forced, but nothing's really come out of it. I really think we're just content to sit on neutral objectives here and farm until we're really comfortable taking objectives when we feel like taking them.
Yeah.
Or just looking for steps like we may have on Karma here. Shuriken Flip's going to go over the wall. Flashes over. How it's going to be ult 1 and 2. Samwise is unstoppable as the pick made onto the CU Academy support is going to be a signal for a potential Baron.
Has to be a Baron here.
At the very least, it'll be interesting. We'll definitely see some posturing for a potential steal. However, Baron's going to go down fairly quickly as, a lot of damage coming off of the side of Team Brothers, especially with that Zeri and Lulu. All it takes is the Ardent Sensor, and Zeri at 3 items, and Baron's just going to melt like butter on a hot day. Speaking of melting,
Flash come out.
Flash Fade unbound, Fade unsealed rather, as the Encore is going to come out, and tower shots are going to be doing way too much. And it's a shutdown going over to the Ezreal as Yone stays way too far up, way too long. A beautifully timed Sejuani ult is going to catch Uzumaki out, having to stay in that shroud, waiting for backup as Uzumaki is still low, below quarter health. Isn't going to be able to do too much. However, as Uzumaki backs out, he tags Samwise in. Samwise hops the wall.
Jarvan's a little bit
Drops the
deep.
ult and has the move speed. Professor X-Man is looking for a potential re-engage as well. Flashes forward, gets a haymaker, face breaker, and the showstopper. Uzumaki goes back in. A280C is on a killing spree. As Samwise hops back over, but Seraphi's going to take the shutdown. J4 and Lulu on the run as flashes are being burned. However, the Cloud Zone movement speed is going to be a big boon here as Ezreal Arcane shifts forward, but can't quite hit the Mystic shot to close out the kill.
Holy crap.
Well, we got a bit of that Ooga Booga energy.
A bit too much of it, I think.
Yeah, a little overzealous. I asked for enthusiasm and I got it in spades. Well, you know, a little too much, but you know, I think Brothers has the lead to take this the one time. Any more than this, and I would start to grow concerned.
Yep. For a second now, I was getting a little concerned. I was getting a little scared that CU Academy might just be that team that just, you know, farms until they lose. Absolutely. But we're actually getting some signs of life here, which is very good.
There is a pulse. There is a chance. Set's still looking a little rough, but at least he's able to make certain plays happen for his team. He did finish his second item, by the way, Scarce Gauge. Another bread and butter item for Set, especially, you know, HP, damage, more shields. Can't go wrong there. All the carries are looking not too bad as well. I do want to point out Zeri purchased a Quicksilver Sash, though. Lots of crowd control coming out from CU Academy, so that QSS is going to be a crucial part of those fights, but you have to be really careful because once you use it, it's not going to come up again for another 90 seconds. Potential catch on to Jarvan here as he flags and drags towards the enemy team. Fate sealed is going to be Yone's fate sealed as the haymaker comes through and Set gets himself on the board with a kill. Seraphine is going to charm the Akali. Akali going in, looking for the Shuriken flip as well. The perfect execution. However, it is going to be a desperation play. The shutdown goes on to the Ezreal. She's looking for two, maybe a third. Williams going to go down next to Samwise. Uzumaki's going to fall shortly with the Zhonya's, though, maybe buying a little bit extra time. Haymaker just mistimed, so barely. We're talking half a second here as Professor X-Man is going to try and get away from Zeri. Going to be able to walk away underneath that tower just by a hair's breadth. The insanity coming out of that fight, and that just goes to show, right? Like, shout out Uzumaki for having this Akali right now, because any other person should be dead to rights. There's almost no way, right? Like, you have to play that so well and get that little bit of luck thrown in there to be able to survive that fight.
Yeah, crazy mechanics coming out. Managing to get 2 kills and living on a sliver of health, crazy.
After such a rocky start to the fight, too, you know, it all started out with that catch on Yone going way too hard, way too fast, getting caught out by, you know, people sitting in, you know, playing the waiting game for his spirit, just kind of checking their watches, and oh look, he's coming back, money. But it was money indeed, money going over to both sides, really. I mean, Akali getting that huge shutdown is going to be a really insane thing to have. I believe, based off of the Amp Tome buy with the needlessly large rod, we'll see a Storm Surge next. So there are going to be a few members of CU Academy that are going to have to be really careful, because with all the penetration that Akali's going to have there, she'll basically be doing true damage. And, you know, even like a Lichbane auto is going to proc Storm Surge, and all of a sudden you're going to be staring at a gray screen.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all either that Brothers picked up Cloud Soul as well, so Akali is going to be very fast after pressing R.
Absolutely. It is going to be a movement speed based game for sure. I mean, you know, we already have Zeri, right? You know, Pikachu Sonic hybrid thing, running around with the Lulu boosts, slap ult on top of that with move speed from the ult, move speed from the Cloud Soul. I mean, it's going to be Mach 10 out here. We're going to hear sound barriers break left and right.
She's got go gadget speed.
Absolutely. No neutral objectives to speak of at the moment, but since Cloud Soul did go over, we are going to see Elder up in 5 minutes. Baron looking to be up in about 1. I imagine that unless there's more Ooga Booga shenanigans, you know, with the priority that they have right now, Brothers should be able to take it.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd put my money on Brothers right now for sure.
But we also did see them go a little too crazy down in the bottom lane. So if history repeats itself,
whoa.
Looks like it won't. Clovy's just going to burn the flash there. And honestly, that's the play you got to make. It doesn't matter if you don't have a shutdown there. Getting caught out like that is going to be huge. Speaking of getting caught out, Uzumaki is going to take way too much damage. Zanya is going to get popped immediately. Probably get a perfect execution over the wall. And it's...
what a cheat code.
It's such a great effort from CUA. But when you have a champion with so much mobility like that, it's really, really hard to make the pick stick.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of making the pick stick,
Pink
is going to get stuck. Jarvan's going to get
big
charmed.
Seraphine ulti.
Almost had enough time to make the Cataclysm happen. However, it's a huge haymaker coming out from this set. A double kill for the Seraphine is everyone is now chasing down Samwise. However, Samwise skating across the river. Going to get flashed on by the Sejuani. Still not quite going down yet. Going to slide over the wall, take the Mystic shots in the face. However, it's going to be Uzumaki making use of some of that bot time to try and get an inhibitor as pings come down onto the Baron from CUA.
Uzumaki still has teleport too. So with 3 people on Baron here and 2 people bot, there's a chance for a play, but I doubt it.
No, I think if you're Uzumaki, you have to cut losses here.
Take the L, yeah.
3 of your teammates are dead. You don't have Zanyas. Even if you do have Ignite, you get maybe 1, and they still get Baron anyway. It's just not worth throwing away 500 gold for all of that.
For sure. Uh-oh.
Of course, I may be proven wrong. Uzumaki going for a bit of an ego play, looking for perfect execution. However, it's going to get caught out on instead. Sejuani A2ADC doing what damage they can. However, these 3-point shuriken strikes are way too heavy hitting. Shutdown going to go into the Ezreal. Regardless, though, the two-shot barrage is going to swing a little bit wide. Zeri trying to get some extra damage and maybe a pick, but unable to make anything happen in the very end. And we're starting to see some more builds get rounded out here as well. I do want to point out that Set now has the Sundered Sky. Not super fond of it as a third item, if I'm being 100% honest. I think that Set in his position would do a little bit better with just some extra beefcake stats, maybe even something like a Death Dance, because he takes a lot of damage from Akali.
Yeah.
And while Akali is the only AP threats, just having stuff like that Death Dance to really layer up on with... Oh my, I just want to stop that point for a second. 1 haymaker popped you in his shield though.
Yep.
So, just set things, right?
Balanced.
He's got a smite for champions built in, and it all comes out of a right hook.
Killer right hook.
Quite possibly. Baron being secured, though, does mean that CUA has a pretty good chance to get some waves pushed out. I think that they have to be really careful of engages still. I think this Baron looks a little bit more defensive. It's not quite a turtle Baron, but it's mostly just let's get some breathing room Baron.
I think it's a wait for Drake Baron, wait for Elder Baron.
100%. Flash forward is not going to be a flash to the side for Professor X-Man. Soul Unbound is going to not force a haymaker.
But it did. He haymaker before, right, for the wave?
You're so right. You
and
are
popped
very right
Sterix
about
on him
that.
too.
He did pop the Sterix. Sterix has a short enough cooldown though that
I think it should be back up. I think for Drake, there shouldn't be too big of a deal.
Well, we are going to see that critical Drake posturing come up as local library is going to dash in, maybe look for something, but not quite get it. That cloud buff doing lots of work for the side of brothers.
Local library. Did not realize that was his name. He's gonna throw the book at you.
Yep. He's gonna hit him with knowledge. Very learned team for CUA. They're coming in from a university. They got Professor X-Man and local library. Maybe they know something we don't. I'm curious to see why some of the posturing over Dragon has stopped, though. It's coming up imminently, really. It's got 5 seconds left. Seraphine does have TP, and that's great. And at this point, I think if you are CUA, you have to be really careful of losing any more towers than you already have, because you're really hanging on by threads at this point.
Yeah.
One wrong step, and you could look at somebody knocking down your Nexus.
Yeah. Here's a TP coming in from behind.
CUA is still going to be the first on to the Dragon Pit, and is going to start up, but it's going to be a massive flash forward from Leone. Fate Sealed.
Instant exhaust, though.
However, it's now Cully diving the back line as the chains are on. Karma's going to be the first to fall, followed by a Cataclysm going on to the back line of Brothers. Brothers doing what damage they can as the Resurrection comes through. Professor X-Man with Sejuani is going to try and soak up what damage they can. However, Zeri's going to be able to put down way too much, start sliding across the wall. Have to be careful of her own positioning, though, as the Haymaker and Seraphine combo are going to do so much. Yone now in the back line trying to finish off the fight as Clove is now in a 1 versus 2 situation. You get 1 in return. However, it's an ace going over to Brothers. CUA going to be the ones falling there. Besaid is going to have way too much time on his hands to get into that base. Maybe knock a Nexus turret, maybe 2. I don't think the game is going to end quite yet, as Karma is up in 15 seconds, but I could stand corrected if Besaid really tries to go and take the gold home. At a bare minimum, we're seeing
It's possible.
go down.
I was just looking at him taking turrets then, I guess.
Yep. Looks like we're going to be satisfied with just softening up the base a little bit more. Second turret's going to go down. Karma's up, followed by Sejuani, I believe, in the next 10 seconds here. Not enough pressure to get the inhib. Going to pop that Scryer's Bloom and just say, yeah, all right, I've got mine. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Get ready for another big Elder Drake fight.
Absolutely. It's stuff like this that really gets the heart pumping. And Yone's going to do a good job too. You know, part of having that shield bow means he doesn't have to back if he doesn't want to. I'd say he needs to be wary of doing that right now, especially because he has no teleports. You know, missing out on that dragonfight or showing up late could really not be a good look. But we are starting to near some full builds here. Everybody getting those last bits of gold into their pockets, at least the ones that are going to mean anything. And Elder's going to get started up by Brothers here. They are melting it fairly fast, but it looks like CUA still has plenty of time to make the counter engage happen if they want to. The tensions get a little split as Yone's going to get a nice knockup, as well as a huge ultimate. Jarvan going to be able to go into the back line, drop a baby cage onto the front line. Clove is going to be the first to fall down, as A20C is going to be able to take out Jarvan in return. However, Set's going to fall to Zeri. Uzumaki going gold with the Zion's Hourglass. Going to be taking way too much damage as Elder goes down, and it's going to start hitting you're going to start hearing roars and puffs as the execution goes out.
Was that damage from Karma? Did you see the RQ under the Lulu?
Absolutely. You know, you hit. It doesn't matter if you only have one damage item. You hit the squishiest person on the team, and they are going to take it as hard as they can. And even without Elder, right? You know, it doesn't matter. But Elder here is just such a crucial timer. I believe it's only going to be about a minute and a half long, with with only 2 members of Brothers having it. So they are going to have that Yone and the Zeri. But unless they decide to make a play very, very soon, I think we've seen the biggest impact that Elder's going to have, at least for now.
Probably, yeah. Uh-oh. Why are we looking at the corner of the screen? Right's trolling us.
Just a little bit. Scuttle's going to get popped, clear some extra vision out, and we're going to start posturing for Baron. I mean, this is the kind of play you need to make, right? When you have 2 people with Elder, and Elder's a fast-ticking buff.
Yep.
You gotta use it while you can, and it's gonna start burning away at Baron. Baron is just melting to the concerted effort of Brothers, and there's no chance for contest. There's just none. They have plenty of DPS already, plus the added Elder buff. It's just gone. You know, and this is really gonna be a critical time for CUA. This is do or die right here, and you really have to be careful waiting that Elder out or making those picks on the people who have that buff and taking that off the map.
That's gonna be turret falling. Inhib's not long either.
Last inhibitor and its tower falling for the side of Brothers. They are looking to end this game tutorial style, knocking down everything in their way. However, they don't quite have the angle on it yet. Even with the Baron buff, they have no waves to buff. And no waves to buff means no minions to help knock down towers, tank the towers, start your plays. So at this point, it's really just a whole lot of posturing and looking for any sort of misstep to get that last play going. Siege minions are going to start doing their work on the towers. The first Nexus tower is going to fall, though. CUA really needs to make something happen.
Engage.
Sejuani ult flies way wide. Samwise getting caught just a little bit. Yone looking for a fate sealed on the set. Going to be able to make something happen. Huge fly comes out on Yone, making sure he gets out just fine. However, even though the haymaker is big, it's not big enough as the baby cage goes down. Showstopper is going to signal the end of the game as one member after another falls on the side of CUA, followed by their Nexus.
And Brothers is going to take the game, and they move on to the semifinals.